We offer nationwide delivery all across the country to your doorstep. We are committed to providing after-sales support, so why buy from Sims? Because we guarantee you quality products at good prices every time.
Sims Digital Centers, for the right combination of quality and price.
From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Nwawodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, the Senate calls for the deployment of adequate security to mining communities after a rock slide buried over 30 miners in Niger State. Also demands the strengthening of regulation on mining activities in the country. Terrorists kill at least 12 people, including 7 policemen in Magaria community in Zamfara state. Military says it has neutralized over 9,000 terrorists and rescued over 4,000 hostages between May 2023 and June 2024. And federal government cautions organized labor over its demands on national minimum wage and electricity tariff. Says shutdown of the national power grid is treasonable felony.
On business news tonight, the Securities and Exchange Commission calls for collaboration to tackle the menace of unclaimed dividends, currently at 190 billion naira.
On sports news tonight, Super Eagles of Nigeria are set to face South Africa's Bafana in Friday's 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying series at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo.
From the nation's capital, the House of Representatives demands withdrawal of land allocations issued in the FCT between January and August 2023. Resolves to investigate alleged fraudulent allocations within the period.
And in international news from London, an Israeli airstrike on a UN school packed with hundreds of displaced Palestinians in central Gaza has reportedly killed at least 35 people.
Monday's horrific rock slide that buried alive over 30 miners in a gold mining site in Farindoke community in Shiroro local government area of Niger State was the focus at the Senate plenary today. As a result, the upper legislative chamber is now asking the federal government to deploy adequate security to mining communities and also strengthen regulation on mining activities in Nigeria. The Senate also mandated its Committee on Solid Minerals to conduct an on-the-spot assessment of the site and accelerate the passage of the Miner Ranger Bill currently before it. Our National Assembly correspondent Gloria Umezoke reports.
Lawmakers converge on the upper legislative chamber for the last plenary session of the week, and the challenge of illegal mining and insecurity dominated conversations.
The Senate knows that.
Following a motion moved by Senator Sani Musa, the need to investigate the incident of a rock slide that buried alive 30 informal miners in Niger State is whipped up.
The appropriate authorities should, as a matter of urgency and necessity, initiate thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding the incident so as to identify any existing lapses as they relate to safety regulations and enforcement in the sector.
The National Assembly should invoke the powers that is conferred on it by Section 4 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, make the necessary legislation to guide the sector rather than allowing it to the whims and caprices of various government officials, as the case may be.
The government is being shortchanged. It's being shortchanged. The government is not having what is due to it. urge the federal government to come out with strict safety measures and deploy adequate security apparatus to the mining communities in order to maintain vigilance around mining areas to prevent further incursions. Please silence in honor of the deceased.
A minute silence is also observed in honor of the victims of the tragic incident. In a separate motion, the protracted challenge of insecurity becomes the nodal point as some lawmakers canvass for a state of emergency in regions that have become terror hotspots.
I think there is a need for all critical stakeholders, including the president himself, who will now call a meeting of all relevant persons, lock themselves in until they find solution to the insecurity problem in this country. They should not come out of the room.
The security agencies probably are not competent, or they are afraid, or there is complicity. And therefore, all we need to do is to match this with timelines. Give them what they want, but give them timelines to achieve it. Once people know that they're going to lose their positions, they will act.
Mr. President, we have to seek the support of the Parliament to declare emergency, state of emergency in those areas. Once that is done, that will give the military and the security personnel the comfort and confidence to go all out to engage.
The Senate had in January this year summoned the service chiefs over the alarming spate of insecurity across the country as it announced a meeting with President Bola Tinubu to canvass implementable solutions.
The Senate has now passed the National Anti-Doping Bill seeking to domesticate the UNESCO Convention Against Doping to, among other things, establish the National Anti-Doping Center to essentially halt the menace of doping among sportsmen and women. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
To security matters in Zamfara state, at least 12 people, including 7 policemen, have been reportedly killed by bandits who attacked Magaria community in Zurmi local government area of the state. The bandits were said to have entered the town in large numbers on Wednesday with sophisticated weapons, forcing some of the mobile policemen deployed to the town to run for safety. A former speaker of the Zamfara State House of Assembly, Nasir Magaria, who is an indigene of that town, told Channels Television that 3 vehicles, including one belonging to his elder brother, who is also the district head, were set ablaze. He further explains that Magaria Model Primary School and some parts of his house were also burnt by the terrorists. The spokesperson of Zamfara State Police Command, ASP Hazid Abubakar, when contacted, said he was yet to get a situation report from the area. Magaria community has witnessed bandit attacks for several years. Back in 2021, the terrorists attacked that community, kidnapping the Magaria's father, who was the then district head of the community. He later died in captivity after being held for over 2 months. Meanwhile, the military says it has neutralized over 9,300 terrorists and rescued 4,600 hostages between May 2023 and June 2024. The Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, gave these figures while addressing a joint news conference organized by the Strategic Communications Interagency Policy Committee under the coordination of the Office of the National Security Advisor in Abuja.
The Defense Headquarters is hosting the first edition of a joint news conference, bringing together security, defense, and response agencies to address national security concerns. The Special Advisor on Strategic Communications to the National Security Advisor kickstarts the event as he attributes the successes recorded in the ongoing security operations in the country to the robust collaboration among security agencies.
SCIPC has been established under the National Security Strategy 2019, and it has, among other responsibilities, the responsibilities to advise government on security communication, to strengthen strategic communication as a first-order capability in amplifying our national security objectives.
The Director of Defense Media Operation reels out the successes recorded by the Armed Forces of Nigeria.
6,988 terrorist logisticians and informers across the various theaters of operation. And we rescued 4,641 kidnapped hostages during the period. Notably, 9,562 terrorist combatant fighters and their families surrendered to security forces during the period. And in the fight against oil theft, 1,437 perpetrators were apprehended with 363 neutralized.
At the event, the Nigerian Police Force and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission clarifies issues bordering on the arrest of journalists and the former governor of Kogi State.
Let me put it on record that if a petition has been written against you as a journalist, I think the best thing you should do as a trained journalist, a certified journalist, is to honor that invitation and get across to the office of the first ground. None of them that have been victimized, quote unquote. And I want to be placed in proper perspective. He said that if Yahya Bello, if he was not arrested, then there will be no basis for him to go ahead, to arrest or to arraign or to prosecute anybody. And he was talking about the need to prosecute Yahya Bello. And I think it is public knowledge that the EFCC is already in court. I mean, there is no basis for him to resign again.
The news conference, which attracted representatives from all military, paramilitary and response agencies, is aimed at cementing the relationships among security agencies and support organizations. The plan is to hold a strategic communication with journalists once a month.
And staying with security matters, it appears the Borno state government is not losing sleep over the recent threat from ISWAP terrorists asking residents of Kokawa local government area to vacate their communities or face death. Governor Babagana Zulum had dismissed the threat, saying the terrorists were seeking cheap publicity as they have been significantly degraded. He made this known during a meeting with the military high command of the Northeast Operation Hadinkai and field commanders to discuss the security situation around Baga and other communities along the Lake Chad Basin. During that tour, Governor Zulum inspected some farmlands and later distributed grains, wrappers, and cash gifts to the people.
Boko Haram have went to Kokawa and they have issued some notice to the people that they will come and displace them if they refuse to vacate the town. Here we have an opportunity even better than that of Damasak. What we need is to support the farmers. And I've directed that the farmers will be profiled so that they should be given agricultural input. We shall support them through the World Bank supported program, which is AgriSal.
And away from security matters now, the Tripartite committee meeting on the minimum wage has ended in Abuja. The meeting is coming after the organized labor suspended its strike earlier this week. The meeting, which started around 4:30 p.m., had representatives of both labor and the federal government in attendance and hoping to come up with a new minimum wage, which is agreeable to all parties. President Bola Tinubu had earlier assured Labour that a figure much higher than the initial 60,000 naira proposed by the government will be presented on or before the end of this week. The president had on Tuesday directed the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wali Edu, to present a financial guide for negotiations towards a new minimum wage within 48 hours. And the meeting has come out saying that a decision will be reached at the meeting tomorrow with the real figure. Meanwhile, the federal government is asking members of the organized labor to be more circumspect in the demands over the national minimum wage and the restoration of old electricity tariff, while reaffirming the commitment of President Bola Tinubu to improve the welfare of Nigerians. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, has raised concerns about the loss of revenue by the federal government due to the shutdown of the national grid, which he has described as a treasonable felony. He was addressing the National Executive Council of the Christian Association of Nigeria in Abuja.
Everything this government is doing is people-centered. President feels it. Our people must rise up. They must have something in their pocket. It's not just a question that you say that you want 100,000, if you want 100,000 and there is no productivity. And all we're looking at what productivity, power sector, this is what we're doing, and so on and so forth. Look, when you go on strike, you give 15 days notice. They didn't. But nowhere in the world has labor tampered with the national grid. You don't, it's treason. Treasonable felonies, economic sabotage. You don't do that. And normally, when you go on strike, just say yes. Don't go and beat people in the office. People who are in the office are beating them, they must go away. It is never done. I have a civil service background. I joined the service after I left the university, rose to become permanent secretary before I ventured into politics.
In part two, after the break, the Federal Court in Kano says June the 13th to determine whether or not it has jurisdiction to resolve the tussle over the Kano Emirates tool between Emir Mohammed Sanusi II and the deposed Emir Aminu Ado Bayero. Please stay with us.
We see you, how you work hard at your craft, doing your absolute best. We know how the protein, calcium, and vitamins in Dano milk nourish you to go for it. For those big dreams, for your hustle, and for quality time with those you love. So when it comes to choosing nourishment, never compromise on the quality milk that you deserve. Go for it.
Go for it.
Shout my be fresh now, but you know, I beg no be so. Before I go talk, say our smell no reach. Where can I think and try so? We know they here to the point una with our small finger. We show una solution instead. Ever heard of Colgate, the #1 oral care brand in the world? On a slide, go find that skin chip as it's supposed to be. You can see why we are the coolest around. For zero cavity and long-lasting fresh breath. Mom, it's your time to brush. Mama and Papa buy up, use up, and shine your smile. No more cover mouth. Because we Colgate, that will do your job with your smile. Risco tomato.
Give me a Risco tomato instead. I go give you imported tomato. Be like saying that people like you, the wicked our country people. You see this Richiku or Nachiko, They take correct natural ingredients, make them. If not made in Nigeria, like a Risco, get many benefits. It help grow our economy. And job plentiful. Nyafo. And when you put them inside mouth, it's sweet. And it dig the one for
buy made in Nigeria. Buy a Risco product.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. The Senate called for the deployment of adequate security to mining communities after a rock slide buried over 30 miners in Niger State. Also demands strengthening of regulation on mining activities in the country. Terrorists killed at least 12 people, including 7 policemen in Magaria community in Zamfara state. Military says it has neutralized over 9,000 terrorists and rescued over 4,000 hostages between May 2023 and June 2024. Federal government cautions organized labor over its demands on national minimum wage and electricity tariff, says shutdown of the national power grid as treasonable felony. And an Israeli airstrike on a UN school packed with hundreds of displaced Palestinians in central Gaza has reportedly killed at least 35 people. Let's talk legal matters now. The Federal High Court sitting in Kano and presided over by Justice Abdullahi Lehman has fixed June the 13th, 2024 for a ruling on the issue of jurisdiction and the fundamental human rights on the Kano Emirate leadership. The ruling will determine whether or not the Federal High Court has jurisdiction to proceed with the case and resolve the tussle over the stool between Muhammadu Sanusi II, who was restored to the throne by the Kano state government after deposing the former Emir Aminu Ado Bayero. One of the kingmakers in the Emirate Council, Aminu Danan Gudi, who filed the suit, is now asking the court to restrain the respondents from enforcing the new law, which scrapped the 4 emirates created by former governor Abdullahi Ganduje. The respondents in the case are the Kano State Government, the Kano State House of Assembly, the Attorney General of Kano State, the Commissioner of Police in Kano State, the Inspector General of Police, and the Department of State Services. In another legal matter, the federal government has arraigned 2 executives of Telecom Satellites Limited, TSTV, for alleged tax evasion, money laundering, and advanced fee fraud before Justice Inyang Eko of the Federal High Court, Abuja. The accused are Managing Director and CEO of TSTV, Bright Echefu, and Executive Director Felix Inoanuga. Both pleaded not guilty to the 9 counts criminal charge. Justice Eko granted them bail but ordered them not to leave the country without court permission, instructing the immigration to seize their passports. He also warned that any breach of the bail conditions or absence from court will result in bail revocation during the trial, which has been scheduled for July the 15th, 16th, and the 17th. Meanwhile, the legal team of the detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has submitted a full list of judgments directing the release of Mr. Kanu to the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation in Abuja. The leader of the team, Barrister Nnaemeka Ejiofor, told journalists that the judgments were both from domestic and international courts. It says the decision to forward all the pronouncements was in response to the statements credited to the AGF Lateef Fagbemi that he was not aware of Mr. Kanu's case and that his fate will be resolved by the court. Away from the courts now, the president has called on international development financiers to see Africa as a destination for growth and prosperity. Speaking at a meeting with a delegation of International Finance Corporation, IFC, a member of the World Bank Group led by its managing director, Mr. Mukhtar Diop, President Tinubu asked global financiers to consider more strategic investments in agriculture, infrastructure, research and development on the African continent. In the press release, Special Advisor to the President on Media, Ajuri Ngelale, stated that Mr. Diop congratulated President Tinubu on completing 1 year in office, praising his audacious choices to revitalize the economy.
35 years. it was a great opportunity to review the portfolio of IFC in Nigeria. Currently, IFC is the second largest portfolio in Africa, and we are investing massively in Nigeria. We discussed the priority of the government, of his government, and how IFC can support them. Specifically, we discussed about infrastructure and the need to increase investment in infrastructure for logistics. We discussed about agriculture, where we would like to make even more investment. Just for your information, we are investing largely in fertilizer and would like now to invest more in large-scale agriculture. And the president has given us his support and blessing to go in that direction. The third one was regional integration, because we need to. Nigeria is the largest economy in the continent, and the integration with the rest of the continent is essential. So we discuss all elements which are needed for integration, which is airport, logistic, connectivity, and that was something that we discussed. Lastly, we discussed the need to invest more in local currency, because companies here want to borrow in local currency, and we are about to sign an agreement with the central bank to allow us to do more local currency lending. So altogether, it was an excellent discussion with Excellency, and there is a total alignment between the strategic direction that he has set for his government and what IFC is doing right now.
And the news at 10 continues now as we head over to our Abuja studios in the nation's capital, where Terry Kumi is standing by to give us more. Hello, Terry.
Well, good evening, Anne. Now, the House of Representatives is asking that land allocations in the Federal Capital Territory between January 2023 and August 2023 be withdrawn by the FCT minister. Part of the reasons for this resolution by the House is that there was no FCT minister in office from May to August 2023. The House also resolved to investigate alleged fraudulent allocations within the period. Meanwhile, there was some mild drama in the House when a lawmaker drew the attention of the House to an alleged solidarity visit by some lawmakers to the Rivers State governor. The weekly plenary in the House of Representatives wraps up with one final session as the Deputy Speaker presides. Several bills are lined up for first reading, one of which seeks to alter the constitution for the creation of the state of Olu from Imo State. Another bill read for the first time is for the Southeast Erosion Control Commission. In the course of plenary, a matter of privilege is raised, which sparks tension, prompting the intervention of the Deputy Speaker.
Committee on Local Content, led by Honorable Buma, were on oversight function to Rivers State, and they paid a visit to greet the governor. Unfortunately, it was alleged in the publication, not established, but I read it, that one of our colleagues have issued a press statement alleging that the delegation was in Rivers State Government House for solidarity visit with the governor.
My right is being impinged upon on the floor, right here. I need to defend it, not in committee. He should have made this complaint to him.
Which you are right, which of you are right? Are you the one that he referred to?
I attended.
So wait
and I need to explain.
We have not asked you for any explanation. That is not how the parliament works.
If I understood my colleague well, he did not say a representative of the House of Reps. He said some members of the House of Reps. There is freedom of association.
You cannot use privilege to debate privilege. If he has exercised his right, allow us to investigate. He might be right, he might be wrong.
Next, the attention of the House is drawn to alleged fraudulent land allocations in the FCT from May 29, 2023 to August, when the FCT minister assumed office.
The House therefore resolves to A. Investigate all allocations of land in the name of the Minister of the FCT Abuja given within the period of 29th May 2023 to the 21st August 2023 when the office was vacant. Secondly, that all such lands which are subject to litigation or multiple allocation should be identified and their allocations withdrawn by the minister.
The House resolves to extend the period of the investigation to run from January 2023 to August 2023. In time, the House has passed the 98.5 billion naira supplementary budget of the FCT, which was stepped down in the Senate for lack of details.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, that this House
do consider the report of Committee on Federal Capital Territory in the bill for an act to authorize the issue of the Federal Capital Territory Administration statutory revenue funds for the Federal Capital Territory Administration account, the sum of 98,500,000,000 only for the capital projects for the service of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, for the financial year ending 31st December 2024.
Meanwhile, the House has passed 2 bills to establish the North Central Development Commission and the Southwest Development Commission.
It doesn't have to be power.
To infrastructure matters now, more completed road projects have been inaugurated by the Federal Capital Development Authority. And today it was the turn of the B6, B12 roads in the nation's capital. The President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, who represented the President at the commissioning, said the federal government is fully committed to improving road infrastructure across the country. Our correspondent, Kumbia Buluwade, reports.
Your Excellency, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
It's the 7th day of project commissioning by the Federal Capital Territory Administration. This time around, it's the B6, B12 road located in the city center. Present at this ceremony is the President of the Senate, lawmakers, cabinet members, and other dignitaries. The road links the city center to the Umar Musa Yaradua Expressway, connecting communities on the airport road, as well as the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport.
At the Abuja City Gate, where we have early morning traffic gridlock, we are optimistic that traffic gridlock will very immediately fizzle out.
This new road infrastructure stands as a testament to our commitment to progress and prosperity. Proactive SNWO,
the FCT minister is concerned that the completion of the road expansion is hindered by the encroachment of the headquarters of the Ministry of Finance on the road.
Minister of Finance encroached. There's supposed to be a road leading to that side. We are pleaded with them so that we can do that road. We are all working for the same government. So I want to please plead with Mr. President to talk to them so that we'll be able to complete that side of the road.
The President of the Senate is representing President Bola Tinubu at the ceremony, and he expresses the federal government's commitment to improving road infrastructure across the country. He also pledges the National Assembly's support to drive more development in the FCT.
We recognize that efficient transport network remain vital for economic growth. As a testament to our renewed hope agenda, we remain committed to continuing this journey of building more roads, bridges, and essential infrastructure that will connect our people and drive our economy. To the glory of God.
With the commissioning of this B6, B12 road that's just right here at the city center, commuting is now made easy for residents of the FCT to travel to the airport and back, which by extension is expected to ease traffic congestion on this road. From the nation's capital, Kumbi Aboluadi, Channels Television News.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, the Securities and Exchange Commission calls for collaboration to tackle the menace of unclaimed dividends currently at 190 billion naira. That's on business news. Please stay with us.
Stay connected to the world with Channels TV Podcast and get all the trending stories. Simply log on to channelstv.com, click on podcast, select the program of your choice, and listen. Our podcast is available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Tap the expertise you trust. Touch the stories that touch you. Anytime, anywhere. We live in an era of massive innovation, true ideas that impact every industry and society, cutting-edge technology that gives you a glimpse of the future. intuitive minds that meet the demand of a revolution of talent. The future of enterprise lies in the digital world. It's full of questions and yet solutions. Join us on Tech Trends as we bring you the finest blend of technology and the latest happenings in the tech space. Tech Trends, the tech edge you need.
Welcome back to the news at 10. The federal government has launched a scientific-based audience measurement system in broadcasting to provide accurate insight into media consumption, boost advertising revenue, and increase the country's gross domestic product. Speaking at the launch in Abuja, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, says the system aligns with President Bola Tinubu's vision for a prosperous and technology-driven nation. The new system replaces the outdated diary method, providing reliable viewership data for more strategic advertising campaigns and improved programming quality based on audience preferences.
This system we are launching today holds immense importance in ensuring that our broadcasting endeavors are not only impactful but also reflective of the diverse preferences and needs of our audience. It is a tool that empowers us to understand and respond to the dynamic nature of our media consumers, providing valuable perception into their viewing habits, content preferences, and engagement patterns. It is therefore gratifying to note that this project, which started in 2020, has finally come to fruition. I am confident that a transparent and reliable audience measurement system will attract greater investment into the media sector, driving economic growth and creating job opportunities. It will also enhance Nigeria's reputation as a market with robust and trustworthy media analytics. I'm also informed that in its full operation, the audience measurement system is projected to directly employ up to 500 Nigerians and 2,500 people indirectly. This project will jumpstart the repositioning and the financial rebirth of Nigeria's broadcast industry and better prepare it for the digital era, as the federal government is still on track towards the implementation of the digital switchover.
Former President of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, has tasked governors to prioritize food security and improved healthcare provision, in addition to providing basic infrastructure. Obasanjo made the call in Sokoto, where he commissioned the 136 houses acquired by the Sokoto state government from the federal government towards solving the housing challenge in the state.
Water, sanitation, housing, which we are doing now. The next important, or in fact the more important, is what we in Nigeria today call stomach infrastructure. And when I saw you on that yesterday, I said, yes, you have got it right. And today, of course, you bring us here for the commissioning of housing. You know, after food security, after personal security, then there's food security, and there's health security. What is very important about health security is that health security takes a bit of food security along with it. Because if you have good food, diet, the correct diet, then your health security is partly taken care of.
Well, that's all from the nation's capital. Back to Anne in Lagos.
Thank you, Terry. To more stories now. The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, has been speaking on enhanced immigration service embarked upon by the ministry in the last 1 year. Mr. Tunji-Ojo explains that there are over 90,000 passports awaiting collection at the immigration passport offices across the country. He spoke on our political program, Politics Today.
I'm pleading that Nigerians that have applied for their passports should please go and collect their passports. Why? Because we have about 97,000 passports now across Nigeria that has been printed that we're waiting for people to come and collect. Now, from the era where we had 204,000, backlog, we now have a scenario whereby we have even printed 97,000. We are calling people on phone. Nigerians will tell you, we are calling people on phones. Some people that, unless those with wrong numbers or whatever, we are calling people to come and pick their passport. As of today, we do not have passport backlog. We have been able to clear that. 204,000 cleared, and apart from clearing the 204,000, which we did under 3 weeks, we are now in an era whereby passports can be ready in 2 weeks. In terms of the e-gates are ready and tested them. Lagos is, Abuja, the 8 are completely ready, good to go. We have 8 e-gates ready.
What does the e-gates mean? The electronic
that's
gates?
Electronic gates,
Okay.
Which will be for Nigerians. You understand? So that when you come into Nigeria as a Nigerian, you don't need to go through immigration again. Once you come, just put your passport. We tested it. You just put your passport. When you put your passport, we tested it. It took 24 seconds. You look at it, captures your biometric, it registers you in our system that you're already in, just like what you see in JFK, like what you see in Heathrow and other airports, and you enter Nigeria and you move. If you're a person of interest, immediately you put it, because it's integrated with the Interpol, I-247, so there is even the MIDA solution, there's a handshake, like an API. So what it does basically is that it makes life more convenient for Nigerians, comfortable. Nigerians are more comfortable. At the end of the day, it also enhances our security.
And that's the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway today, which was flooded as a result of the heavy downpour, causing massive traffic jam in that axis. Vehicular and human movement were hampered by the gridlock, which was also exacerbated by the ongoing construction work on the long bridge on the expressway. Movement on that expressway is still very slow this evening, and men of the Lagos State Traffic Management Agency, LASMA, are on ground working to restore sanity on the axis, on the road. To company news now, MTN has officially kicked off a special edition of its flagship employee volunteerism project, Y'ello Care campaign for the year 2024. While the days have now been extended to 30 from 21, its focus is to bridge the education gap for rural and remote communities.
Yes, when you want to post it, please use the hashtag Y'ello Care.
Staff members of MTN gather here in Lagos alongside educators, students, and those who seek to bridge the education gap in underserved communities. It's in celebration of the Y'ello Care 2024 campaign, which is an initiative of the staff of the telecom giants.
100% yellow. Thank you very much.
The staff members have contributed from their salaries to the Y'ello Care purse to meet the demands of this year's theme, Learn Today, Lead Tomorrow.
But much more than that, we give of the one thing that is finite, that is time. Nobody can create it. There's only 24 hours in a day. You can't have 25 hours no matter what you do.
This 30 days, we have been given the power to transform our world. We have been given the power to impact our communities. So please, every day you wake up, don't just wake up normally. Wake up knowing that you are a world changer.
While the first project for Y'ello Care is to change the face and learning condition of this school in Lakwe, Lagos. This pitchathon affords these education initiatives, the National Safe School Project and the NOSC 100 Naira a day charity school to catch the eyes of Y'ello Care.
Somebody just came here and told us that we have about 10.5 million children out of school.
The number is about double now of those who are out of school in Nigeria. Majority of them are out of school because of insecurity. And this is what we need to address promptly.
We've been able to identify some schools in Kano, in Oyo State, in Enugu State, and in FCT where we are in the community. And we just want to keep it simple. They're in SS2. They're writing WAEC in the next 1 year. We want to provide them maths, English textbooks, and exercise books.
Several other platforms also express interest in the support Y'ello Care offers.
We would like MTN to partner with us in spreading digital learning across Nigeria. Thank you.
With the session done, participants make their way to the assembly ground for the official kickoff of the Y'ello Care campaign for the year 2024. The management says by this initiative, MTN is demonstrating its understanding of the transformative power of education, opening doors of opportunity to the next generation of leaders.
And for more in the world of business, Dominic Iwewu is standing by.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Anne. On business news, the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, Dr. Emomotimi Agama, has asked key stakeholders in the capital market to collaborate with the Commission in addressing the sustainable issue of unclaimed dividends, which currently stands at a staggering 190 billion naira. Mr. Agama, who stated this during a meeting with the Association of Securities Dealing Houses of Nigeria, ASHON, in Abuja, described unclaimed dividends as a monster in the capital market which must be tackled swiftly. The acting DG further emphasized that the Commission would address these challenges in the shortest time possible and invited ASHON to submit practical proposals on how to reduce the current level of unclaimed dividends. Meeting Africa's energy and climate targets by 2030 requires over $200 billion annually, yet annual funding falls short of the required $25 billion, as indicated by the latest report from the International Energy Agency. The IEA report shows that in 2024, about $110 billion is expected, mostly for fossil fuels, but this is not enough for sustainable development as debt and low credit ratings hinder funding for clean energy. It adds that while renewable power investments continue to grow, inefficient grids are limiting progress. About 600 million Africans are without electricity and nearly 1 billion lack clean cooking gas. The European Central Bank slashed interest rates for the first time since 2019, marking a significant shift in global monetary policy. The move, widely expected, highlights the ongoing focus on central bank actions, particularly those of the Fed. The ECB reduced its main lending rate from a record 4% to 3.75%, signaling a departure from previous stimulatory measures aimed at combating inflation. This decision follows surging energy prices in Europe due to the Ukraine conflict. French billionaire and CEO of luxury giant LVMH, Bernard Arnault, has dethroned Elon Musk as the world's richest person on Thursday, according to latest Forbes reports. His company shares surged 1.5% in early European trading, propelling his net worth to $210.1 billion, surpassing Musk's $208.6 billion fortune. Mr. Arnold's wealth soared by $7.7 billion as LVMH shares reached $830. Since the start of the year, LVMH shares have climbed 5.5%, contrasting with Tesla's 30% decline, a major component of Musk's wealth. The domestic equities market made a U-turn into negative territory and reversing gains recorded in Wednesday's trading session. Ini John Mekwa has the details.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, it seems that yesterday's gain could be described as a dead cat bounce because we see By the next day, the all-share index is back in the red territory. It's 0.15% down at 99,134. And even though the market cap is still around 56 trillion naira, but it's really risky, you see, because just a little bit of move and then we see it losing that 56 trillion naira. Top trades by volume directed the attention of investors today. Fidelity Bank lost 9.72%, and that's just after they made that signature towards recapitalization, having their plans firmed. They closed at 9.75 naira after trading 49.1 million in volume. O&O had positive sentiments today, traded 28.6 million. We'll see that captured in the counters. And then Access Bank had 42.3 million. And looking at the counters, we see oil and gas away from its usual status. It's in the green. That's thanks to O&O, 0.28% right there. Banking is down, as well as consumer goods slightly down. So we're back to the bears territory.
Meanwhile, in the EU, stocks closed at record highs as the European Central Bank cuts interest rates for the first time since 2019. Let's see their closing numbers and those of other major equities. And that's it on business news. Over to you, Anne, for the rest of the bulletin.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Dominic. A federal judge in the United States has ordered Donald Trump's former strategist, Steve Bannon, to report to prison on July the 1st, 2024, to serve a 4-month sentence. The right-wing podcaster's refusal to testify before the committee investigating the 6 January 21 Capitol riot resulted in his conviction on 2 charges of contempt of progress. Well, Simon Pusey has more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. An Israeli airstrike on a UN school packed with hundreds of displaced Palestinians in central Gaza has reportedly killed at least 35 people. Local journalists said that a warplane fired 2 missiles at classrooms on the top floor of the school in the urban Nuzirat refugee camp. Videos showed the destruction and a number of bodies. Israel's military said it had conducted a precise strike on a Hamas compound in the school and killed many of the 20 to 30 fighters it believed were inside. Gaza's Hamas-run government media office denied the claim and accused Israel of carrying out a horrific massacre. Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned that Moscow could arm countries with a view to attacking Western targets. Mr. Putin made the statement while criticizing the West's delivery of long-range weapons to Ukraine. Several countries, including the United States, have given Ukraine the green light to strike targets inside Russia. Such action could lead to very serious problems, Mr. Putin told foreign reporters. 3 weeks after Robert Fico was gunned down in central Slovakia, he's made a return to political life on the eve of the European elections. In a Facebook video apparently recorded at home in Bratislava, the Slovak Prime Minister laid the blame for the attack on Slovakia's liberal opposition, the anti-government media and foreign-funded NGOs for creating a climate of hatred. Mr. Fico, who was critically injured after being shot multiple times, said he forgave his attacker and bore no hatred towards him. However, he said the man was a messenger of the evil and political hatred whipped up by Slovakia's unsuccessful and frustrated opposition. Nvidia's market value has surged past $3 trillion, lifting the chip giant ahead of Apple to become the second most valuable publicly listed company in the world. The firm's share price rose more than 5% on Wednesday to more than $1,224. It extended a breathtakingly rapid climb that started last year, powered by bets that the US firm is positioned to be a major winner from a wave of investment in artificial intelligence. Its market value now sits just behind Microsoft, another key player in the industry, thanks to its investments in ChatGPT maker OpenAI. The American Boeing company has launched its Starliner capsule towards the International Space Station with 2 NASA astronauts on board.
1, ignition.
It's the first time the vehicle has been entrusted to carry people after coming through a long and tortuous development program. The capsule went up the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, riding a United Launch Alliance Atlas rocket. Events have taken place in France and the UK to mark the 80th anniversary of the Allied invasion of France. Earlier, King Charles talked of the supreme test of D-Day and the generation that did not flinch when the moment came to face that test. Joe Biden was present here in Normandy, as was French President Emmanuel Macron and Rishi Sunak. 5 years ago, 225 British veterans travelled to Normandy for commemorations. This year, there were just 23. On the 6th of June 1944, tens of thousands of soldiers landed on 5 beaches in Normandy in northern France. The landings were the start of the campaign to liberate Nazi-occupied northwestern Europe.
The fact that they were heroes here that day does not absolve us from what we have to do today. Democracy is never guaranteed. Every generation must preserve it, defend it, and fight for it. Let us be the generation that when history is written about our time, in 10, 20, 30, 50, 80 years from now, it'll be said, when the moment came, we met the moment.
And a controversy over a waterfall has cascaded into a social media storm in China, even prompting an explanation from the water body itself. A hiker posted a video that showed the flow of water from Yuntai Mountain Waterfall, billed as China's tallest uninterrupted waterfall, was coming from a pipe built high into the rock face. The clip has been liked more than 70,000 times since it was first posted. Operators of the Yuntai Tourism Park said they had made the small enhancement during the dry season, so visitors would feel that their trip had been worthwhile. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon. Let's talk sports now. The Super Eagles of Nigeria are determined to put their best foot forward in aiming for all 3 points when they go headlong against South Africa in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier at the Gospel Akpabio Stadium in Uyo on Friday. That's tomorrow. The absence of Africa Player of the Year, Victor Osimhen, owing to injury, and head coach Finidi George is expected to deploy the trio of Kelechi Iheanacho, young stars Victor Boniface and Ademola Lookman. Injuries to defenders William Truss-Ekong, Kenneth Meru, Jamilu Collins and Zaidu Sanusi mean the coach will seek alternative rear guard service against the South Africans. The 3-time African champions are third in Group C with 2 points, while South Africa are second with 3. To club football now, English Premier League clubs have voted in favor of continuing to use the video assistant referee VAR system next season. In order for VAR to be scrapped, 14 of the 20 Premier League clubs needed to vote in favor of doing so. Not only Wolverhampton Wanderers voted in favor of the proposal, as they failed to gain any support from other top-flight clubs. The Premier League has come under increasing pressure to modify VAR, which was introduced at the start of the 2019-2020 season. Let's switch gears now to tennis, where women's world number 1 Iga Swiatek stands just a win away from her 4th French Open title after a 6-2, 6-4 victory over Coco Gauff in the semi-finals of the competition. Swiatek took 1 hour and 37 minutes to get past Gauff for the 11th time in their 12 career meetings. The 23-year-old from Poland becomes the 3rd player since 2000 to make 3 consecutive French Open women's singles finals, joining Justine Henin and Maria Sharapova. Meanwhile, Jasmine Paolini has become the 3rd Italian woman in the Open era to play in the finals of the French Open. Paolini defeated Mira Andreeva Russia 6-3, 6-1 in the 3rd semi-final to earn a spot in her first Grand Slam final against the defending champion Iga Swiatek. The 28-year-old joins Francesca Schiavone and Sira Errani in advancing to the match. Away from the French Open, the Swedish Olympic Committee has named 5 swimmers among the contingent to represent the country at the Paris Olympic Games. The swimmers are Sira Sjöström, Michelle Coleman, Sophie Hansen, Louis Hansen, and Eric Penson. Well, Sweden won 9 medals, comprising 3 gold and 6 silver at the Tokyo Olympic Games. One of the silver medal was won by Sira Sjöström in the women's 50 free, in spite of breaking her elbow earlier that year. And she just shared excitement ahead of the 5th Olympics in Paris. And that's sports news tonight. I'm Kelly Egiga. Back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. The Senate today called for the deployment of adequate security to mining communities. This came 3 days after a rock slide buried over 30 miners in Niger State. Lawmakers also demanded the strengthening of regulation and mining activities in the country. And terrorists have killed at least 12 people, including 7 policemen in Magaria community in Zamfara state, just as the military said it had neutralized over 9,000 terrorists and rescued over 4,000 hostages between May 2023 and June 2024. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Have a wonderful night, guys.